That's it, recording now. So once again, if you do not wish to be recorded, please make sure that you keep your cameras off and that you don't speak on microphone. Everybody is muted at the moment. And if you have any questions, if you can submit them through the Q&A box at the bottom, that will be great, and we'll answer those as many as possible. We've had a little bit of time at the end for questions specifically for that, and if you want to chat to any of the panelists, so you have any technical problems, I'll be chairing this today and making sure that everybody can hear and see, and they're able to access the information. One of the things we have just shared in the chat is that the best way of getting hold of us is always email. Sometimes we have a few questions afterwards, and Temple is going to be answering your questions afterwards. So if you can email temple@scotcoinproject.com, that's always a good way of getting hold of an immediate response, or a fairly timely response anyway.
Well, reasonably immediate anyway, reasonably immediate.
So let's introduce everyone. I'm Caroline Wiley. I run the admin for the Scotcoin project. And I will introduce you to Temple Melville, who will introduce himself, and also David Hood, who's with us today.
Hi, well, I'm Temple Melville. I think most of you probably know who I am. I'm the CEO of the Scotcoin project, CIC. And on the screen you can see as well David Hood, who has just been brought on board to be our head of digital community engagement, and he'll talk a bit more about that later on. The format today is very simple. I've got a few things to say. David is going to have a few words about different things, and then we'll go into Q&A. We've already got some questions, and we'll answer any that we have. I think I'll probably answer most of them in what I'm going to say, but anything you have that you want to know about, please put it in the Q&A and we'll try and get them all done at the end. So kicking off right away, very simply, the first thing to tell you is that we were very fortunate to receive a grant called the Digital Development Boost Grant. And that is specifically to help us to have a larger marketplace for items being sold for Scotcoin. Now, one of the things that's been missing in the entire cryptocurrency world is, in fact, an area that is like eBay or Amazon or something, but using cryptocurrency. And the object we have in mind is to at least have something like that for Scotland with Scotcoin. Douglas, who is there, who is our chief technology person, in fact he's our #1 technology person, is the person who's going to be handling that over the next month. So within about 4 or 5 weeks we should have, we already have a market up, but it will increase dramatically. And I can see Brian Mackay's there. He is our head of security. And I can see David Lowe's there, who is our joint holder of Scotcoin IP. So that's really quite exciting, because I think that's going to be a very good thing from our point of view. Now, the other thing, one of the other things to talk about is, and David Hood will be expanding on this, is the Academy, which is part and parcel of our requirement for being a CIC. We have to, our remit is to engage people with Bitcoin and crypto and all the rest of that sort of thing. And the Academy is going to do that. David will mention more about it a little bit later on. Next thing I have to tell you is, which is I think really quite exciting, is there is what they call an ENS domain. Now, an ENS domain would be like scotcoin.eth. And what that will do is you won't have to put in all the 0x54321, etc. You will simply put in scotcoin.eth, and that will send money direct, or will enable you to send money direct to Scotcoin. We will be doing a how-to about it, and we will probably be wanting particularly people who are going to be our retailers and sellers to have an ETH address. The reason being it's much easier than having to send around big long numbers all over the place. So you just simply, for example, if you were sending money direct to us in Scotcoin, you would just type into your MetaMask or your Me wallet Scotcoin.eth, and it would take it up straight away and send it straight there, which is very much simpler and much better, obviously. So we'll be doing a thing about that as well. The next thing is that we have a situation because of the price of Bitcoin. We still have people who are trying to migrate, and it's generally people with small numbers of Scotcoin V2. They are faced with a situation where to buy enough Bitcoin and to pay for the transfer is actually more than the Bitcoin they're holding. Sorry, is more than the Scotcoin they're holding is worth. So we've put in place, and it's now up on our website on exchange.scotcoinproject.com, a situation where they can buy at a cheap rate some Scotcoin to cover what they would get if they did the transfer using the Bitcoin. So at the moment, you're probably talking, in fact, this morning, you're probably talking about £30 plus to do a transfer. So we've said, well, you can buy, if you send us £25, we will send you 1,500 Scotcoin, which gives you a big discount on the price. So we hope that people will take that up. The last thing to talk about is exchanges. Lots of the questions we've had in have been, when are we coming onto an exchange? And the short answer is we're already very engaged about that. We've been talking to people who are, for lack of a better expression, introducers to exchanges. The process takes a little time. There's a lot of due diligence involved, which we're obviously very keen on. And the other point about it is that we will not be going just on one exchange. We will be going on to 3 exchanges. And I think that's an important point, because one of the ways that you get up the ranking in Coinbase is to be on more than one exchange. So we're going for that. And apart from anything else, we do actually believe that we're going to need some kind of capacity and liquidity and so on. And that's the way to get it. So that's pretty much what I've got to say. I'm just going to hand over now to David Hood, who's going to explain a bit more about the Academy and about what he's going to be doing for us in the short term.
Thanks, Temple. I'll just quick slide, a couple of slides in the background there. Yes, thanks for the introduction. Yeah, I'm pretty excited, to say the least, about this project, not least because it's something that's got a lot of social value as opposed to just commercial value. And indeed, it fits in many ways with what I've been doing at the Edinburgh Institute, which is looking at how to create real value for commerce and society, meaningful alignment between companies and markets, and improve value for humans. And I know that sounds a bit grandiose, but certainly that's why the whole Scotcoin project has chimed with my personal ambitions as well as my professional ones. And you know, that whole thing about it used to be just nice to have, whereby companies and commercial organizations had a look at sustainability, had a look at being a little bit more environmental and societal and all the rest of it, all the lovely touchy-feely things, but they haven't really gone the full mile. And I think now, in terms of you know, competitive advantage, which is my speciality, that most companies and projects now have to have those environmental and social credentials, and they have to walk the walk as opposed to just talk the talk. So the whole project is something that I'm very, very much immersed in now, and I'm looking forward to doing my bit for the digital community engagement side of things for Scotcoin. And one of the best things we have in the pipeline very shortly is the new Scotcoin Academy. And the Scotcoin Academy is going to be there to effectively answer a lot of questions. I think nowadays people do not want to have laborious FAQ lists. They don't want to have to read a number of articles or blog posts or whatever. They really want to see somebody stand there in front of them and tell them something for 20 seconds or a minute or two. And with that in mind, we're creating the Academy to answer a lot of questions, but also because I think now everybody wants, and it's the best way of promoting things is through education now, as opposed to just the normal promotional quick zappy messages. So although it sounds grandiose having an academy, it means that we have a formal set of structures in place, and it will educate all people who are involved in the ecosystem, to use that wonderful word nowadays. So being education led is part of the CICs, the legal construct for the company. So we have to effectively have that educational output, and the Academy is very much going to look after that. So that's again why, as I say, I'm supporting it fully, because it means a lot to me, and it covers a lot of my personal ambitions as well as my professional ones. So I guess just as I say, to paraphrase, it sounds great and grandiose again, but it's a curriculum for fairness is the mainstay for the Academy. It's to support and inform the public. It's to inform all the stakeholding groups within Scotcoin, and it's to show a path through how to use Scotcoin right up to, buying, selling, retailing, and all the rest of it. So it shows people of whatever background and how much, because I mean everybody knows different parts about the whole crypto and blockchain technologies and how these things are used, and we think that having the Academy best reflects the needs of those at different levels of interaction and engagement, and those who know very little about cryptocurrencies and those who know an awful lot. So we'll cover all the bases. And we want to look at obviously the whole point of Scotcoin is having some societal benefit. And so we will be nurturing those, and we'll have personal benefits to the individuals that are using Scotcoin. And we obviously want to increase Scotcoin and increase the value as well as the use. And a very important part of that, obviously, is apart from those who are buying and selling the Scotcoin, are those who are retailing or providing products and services, and they will need their own level of knowledge and courses and information about how to use Scotcoin, how to take it, how to effectively store it, utilize it in a business-to-business sense, as well as just for the broader societal benefits. And lastly, as I say, because the necessary terms of being a CIC is that we have to have that educational impact. And I think a lot of that is to dispel the myths. I mean, we are hitting a running target here because crypto is new. All the technologies and the whole world of crypto is pretty much alive just now. It's full of the chattering classes who are doing a good service for promoting crypto and altcoin, etc., and blockchain for that matter. But there's also an awful lot of myths going around, and we want to have a repository there that most people will be able to come in, do a short course. I mean, it's nothing onerous, but they'll be at least informed, and we'll have a proper repository for up-to-date information, not only about crypto and the technical procedural stuff, but also about how the buyer and seller has been using the product, importantly, how the retailer or the provider of the products and services that people are buying using Scotcoin, and also, of course, for the societal benefits. And we do want to have some case studies, etc., in the Academy as well, so that if you want to look at how the Scotcoin is being used in terms of its benefits to society at large, then we'll have some case studies and interviews with the great and the good up there as well. So it's not just a repository of information. It's actually a place to keep the canon of knowledge about Scotcoin in the one place and allow people to come on and see a progressive path in their own understanding of the use of Scotcoin. So I hope that's a good potted history, but watch this space for details as we develop things over the next few weeks and months. So I'll just hand you back to Temple.
Okay, we're just going to hand back to Temple. Here we go. We've also had a message from Kevin asking a question. Apart from getting listed on exchanges, what else is being done or planned to get the word out about Scotcoin? So I think possibly Temple would be the best person to answer this, and then maybe David can jump in if necessary.
Okay, well, in fact, it's a two-part answer, and David is part of the answer. But part of the process for going onto the exchanges includes a pretty large PR element and a pretty large engagement element with lots of people who are not directly involved as it is with Scotcoin. One of our problems has been that we have a relatively small engagement within the crypto community, but part and parcel of this moving to an exchange will include, making sure that lots of people do know about it and so on. So that's one side of it. The other side of it is David's side, where he'll be doing all sorts of different things to enable promotions and bringing people on board for one reason or another, and influencers and so on.
Yes, and just to add to that, Temple, that's the important part in all of this. And I guess many people who are watching this today will be part of that story, because there's, we are limited in terms of what we can do in terms of promotion of cryptocurrencies. Because, for instance, Facebook and Twitter take a very stringent view on what you can do and promote using those channels. So I guess in many ways we'll be relying on organic word of mouth. But also, it is our intent to pull in influencers to interview and to speak to those who have podcasts or blogs, and effectively those who will get to the great and the good in Scotland and elsewhere, and to our target markets for selling the currency especially, because we are limited, as I say, in what we can do. So we have got a very focused approach, looking at influencers and those who are in our segments, the users, the retailers, etc., and the bloggers, and we'll be using a lot of those good contacts who can then in turn amplify the message elsewhere and pull them into Scotcoin, obviously, as a Scotcoin holder, but also to come into the academy and engage with the academy as well.
Okay, I've actually got I've got a couple of questions which came in prior, and I see there's a couple more in. I see there's one that actually says, can we introduce ourselves? We did actually do that at the beginning, but I'll just do it again. I'm Temple Merwell, the CEO of Scotcoin Project CIC. The person who was just speaking is David Hood, who is our head of digital community engagement, and Caroline is our person who's in charge of admin and all the rest of it. You can see there's a name there, Douglas, that is our head of tech, and you can also see Brian Mackay, who is our cybersecurity person, and I can see that David Lowe is up there as well, who's our also one of our holders of the IP. Let me just run through the questions that came in before. One of them was, I cannot find my wallet address. If you can't find your wallet address, then I'm not sure we can help you very much. If you don't have your 12-word password, then there's not a lot we can do about that. One of the questions was, is Scotcoin a stable coin? To which the answer is no, it is not. There's a question about having forums like Telegram and Discord and so on. We have actually had these things in the past. We haven't found them particularly useful. We're looking at other methods of doing things. So the answer is, it's still the best way is simply to email us and we'll answer any questions you have. We'll put you in touch with whoever you need to be put in touch with to do whatever it is you might need. Another question was about, are you going to have a debit and credit card? Short answer is, again, yes, that is part and parcel of what we're doing with the exchanges, is talking to them about having our Scotcoin debit card, for lack of a better expression. The marketplace, somebody asked a question about the marketplace. There is no Scotcoin price on it. No, there isn't a price, because it is a marketplace for Scotcoin. It's not a marketplace for fiat currencies. And the last one we had that came in was, can you sell on any platform? The short answer is, at the moment, no. We were on Bittrex some years ago, as I think you probably know. We deliberately came off that, and then they subsequently stopped anyone on Counterparty being on it, largely because the speculation of it was ridiculous. And we're seeing it again now, is this incredible volatility and all the rest of it, which is not really very helpful for anything. So that's just the questions I have. Anyone wants to follow up on that, that's fine. Caroline, do you want to take some of the other questions?
We have a couple of other questions here. This one is from Kevin, who says, regarding exchange listings, what's the likelihood of swapping Scotcoin for pound sterling on these exchanges this year? I think Temple's answered some of that. One of the other things that we're doing from an admin point of view is we're getting lots of vendors on board this year who will be able to take Scotcoin in exchange for different services, for different products. And we're working very hard to get people on board and making sure that people are accepting Scotcoin. So you will be able to swap it for aggregates. There are a number of ones that you can do at the moment. We are looking to expand that. So I hope that answers some of your questions, Kevin.
Just to amplify that a little bit, there will be you will be able to exchange, certainly we're hoping within the next 6 months, let's put it that way, for example, Bitcoin and Ethereum without any great difficulty, we believe. Subsequently you will then need to exchange your Ethereum and Bitcoin and so on for pounds, shillings and pence, if that's what you want to do. But you don't need to do it. And in fact, there is becoming a more and more of a crypto ecosystem all on its own, where people are exchanging crypto for different items and different things. We firmly believe that we'll be part of that.
Okay, we've got another question from Paul, who said, and I think this is one probably for Brian from a security aspect, it can be very expensive to be on decent, honest and competent exchanges. How do you ensure we get onto decent exchanges? Brian, is there anything that people should be looking for when they're buying Scotcoin, or avoiding these kind of scams, which we all know go on round and about? Anything that they should be looking for, Brian?
I think that's more one for Temple about exchanges, but I can talk about scammers. There's quite a lot of emails flying about, text messages flying about with fake links to banks and Amazon, things like that. And I've seen quite a few about Bitcoin and Ethereum, and you get messages on Facebook and Twitter saying you can have some free Scotcoin or free Bitcoin or Ethereum. Obviously we keep an eye out for that and we'll block and report it straight away. But I think it's more that the first part of the question is more for Temple or David about exchanges.
Okay.
I think you go to the direct link for the exchange. Always go, that's one thing before I pass over to Temple. If you know it's Coinbase, make sure the address at the top is Coinbase and not anything, because you can scrape a website and put it up as a different domain. And, you can have the exact same box. You can put in all your details, put in your 12-word passphrase, and it will send it to the scammer. So again,
make sure you check those domains.
I think that's a very good point. Always check whatever. If you get an email, always check what the email address is that it's coming from. There's lots of things from. I noticed the other day there was one from HMRC, and it was a so and so and so and so, and then at the end it said .jp. Well, I'm quite sure that the HMRC is not using somebody in Japan to send you details about this and that and the next thing. Just to go further on the thing about the exchanges. Exchanges, as you probably know, are in tiers. So you have tier 1, which would be, you know, people like Coinbase and Binance. Tier 2, which is like La Token and ones like that. And then there's 3 and 4, where you can forget about 3 and 4. They're a waste of time. But we would be going, there's also a sort of 1.5 tier. There's about 3 or 4 exchanges in there. We'll be going on the 1.5 tier exchanges, and the reason for that is one of the reasons is that it is almost impossible to get onto Coinbase or Binance in the first instance, because one of their requirements is a certain volume of trade, and we at this moment could not guarantee that in any way, shape or form. But having said that, once you're on an exchange and that's, you know, you're building your community and all the rest of it, then there is an entire possibility that we could move, you know, in a year's time or 18 months time onto Coinbase, or preferably Coinbase. I have to say, I like Coinbase.
So we've also been asked about coinmarket.com, and I suspect that's the same.
Well, coinmarket.com, I think, yes, they well, there's CoinMarketCap, which is simply telling you what the different amounts of coin are. But there are, I mean, there's lots and lots and lots of exchanges out there now. All of them, or all the reputable ones, you have to do KYC and AML. You know, I think in general, most of them are, you know, if you're talking about tier 1 and tier 2, they're pretty good.
Stuff, right. The last question we've got in that are open at the moment. Please do type your questions and answers into the Q&A box if you've got any. Is, will you be promoting Scotcoin as a national digital currency and holding discussions with the Scottish Government regarding this?
Well, we've actually been talking to the Scottish Government for quite some considerable time. I think you'll appreciate they have a lot of other things on their plate at the moment. I mean, we would obviously be very happy if the Scottish Government got involved with us, and we were allowed to be involved with the Scottish Government. We'd be very happy to talk to them. And you know, we can only say we're always open to discussion and talking about these things.
And Caroline McNair is asking what exchanges are in tier 1.5 or 1 2.
Tier 1.5 would be somebody. Okay, fair enough. It would be something like Probit, is a sort of 1.5 tier. They're quite.
So that's what we're looking for, is it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So I think that's sort of the questions from the Q&A.
Has anybody else got any other questions? Anyone would like to have an answer about something?
Okay, I think we've done quite a lot of the answers today. We're just looking and seeing if there's any more coming through. Not seeing any. Oh, we've got one here. Do you see Scotcoin developing beyond a means of exchange into other areas like NFTs or DeFi?
Definitely DeFi. The whole DeFi thing is quite complicated. I'm sure both Brian and Douglas know far more about it than I do. It's a very basically what it's doing is trying to use or is trying to make cryptocurrency into more of a finance object. It's the only way I can describe it. I can't describe it any other way. There are reasons why it would be useful to be involved. And one of the questions actually was slightly tangent here is about Uniswap and so on, and whether we would go on Uniswap. Well, we did have a little bit of a trial on Uniswap a little while ago, and I can honestly say maybe it just wasn't a big enough trial. I don't know, but it didn't give us anything that was helpful from our point of view. I mean, I'm very happy to talk to people about Uniswap and so on if they want to, but we haven't found. We still believe that our track is to go down the proper exchange route, and once we have the exchanges on working and all the rest of it and going through, then we can think about other things. But at the moment, we're focused entirely on the exchange. Anyone else? Anyone got anything?
So I think that is probably all the questions we have been asked today. Thank you everyone for coming along. We've had an absolutely cracking attendance today. It's quite unusual to have quite so many of the people that booked end up for a virtual event, as I'm sure you know. So thank you for taking the time today, and thank you for everyone for dialing in, all of our panelists. And once again, just to stress, if you need to get hold of us for any reason, the email is always the best way of getting hold of us. And the email to use is temple@scottcoinproject.com. Once again, that's temple, TEMPLE @scottcoinproject.com. Thank you.
And thank you very much indeed, everyone. And thank you for attending. And I'll be delighted to answer any of your questions on email in the future.